Welcome to another episode of our video podcast of The Walking Dead discussion, where Josh and I will be getting into the nitty-gritty of this episode. Really a lighthearted romp this week.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'd never seen an episode where there's like a cotillion. I mean,
yeah. There was that 20-minute just playing Monopoly scene.
No, that's Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, right, that was Fear the Walking Dead. Okay. Yeah.
No, you're being sarcastic. Lots of terrible shit happened in this episode, and it was incredibly bleak.
We've got to discuss the elephant-sized death in the room, don't we?
Wait a minute. That's my big question. Is Glenn unambiguously dead?
100%.
Okay. I'm at 99%, and let me tell you why.
Please do.
We're speculating already, Gus.
Sorry. We were told to not speculate.
So Nicholas shoots himself in this big epic scene. They're surrounded. There's no way out.
Yeah.
You're thinking, and I'm thinking, there's no way Glenn dies.
Yeah.
Glenn doesn't die. Glenn is from the first episode, and I'm going to tie this back to the first episode. This crazy theory that's going to be totally proven wrong next week when he's unambiguously dead. Nicholas says he's sorry, shoots himself, and they very carefully show Nicholas falling on top of Glenn, and then all these guts are being ripped out.
Yep.
But they're not necessarily directly coming right out of Glenn's body. And also, Glenn is screaming the whole time. And if you're completely disemboweled, I don't think you're screaming anymore. Here's my crazy theory, is that Nicholas is on top of Glenn, and there's so much viscera and blood that Glenn realizes, as he did in one of the very first episodes of the series, that if you are covered with guts and blood, they think you're dead already. So he's playing possum. He's underneath this huge crowd. He's going to lay there, covered in Nicholas's blood, and this Nicholas, who he turned around and made a better person, his final sacrifice is to be the blood and guts that's disguising Glenn from the zombies, and Glenn is going to live. All right, just react, because I'm just talking too much now, and it's totally ridiculous.
This has been loose change. I hope we've encouraged you to look more strongly at Building 7 and what really went down.
Jet fuel does not burn hot enough for Glenn to not die.
I admire your chutzpah. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well, I don't think you're of the Hebraic persuasion, but that's fine. But you can use it. You can borrow it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I think that's reaching, maybe, would be the small way to put it.
Yeah.
There's zero chance that that's actually true.
You're putting it at 0.
I'm putting it at 0.
Okay.
I like the idea that you're looking for some way for Glenn to not be dead, because of course nobody wants Glenn to be dead.
Glenn is so...
It's Glenn.
It's Glenn.
We've been with him since the beginning. He's become our sort of, they were so careful to set up in the past 2 episodes. He is sort of the, moral heart of the show now. He's the one who tries to give people second chances. He tries to make things better. He's the one who's, Nicholas, he wouldn't even be alive right now if it wasn't for Glenn being an awesome dude and giving him another chance.
Well, if he's dead, which I doubt. No, I don't actually doubt it. Will you give me 0.05%?
I'll give you 0.05,
okay.
Sure.
If he's dead, mad props, if I may, children, to The Walking Dead for not telegraphing it in any way, not having him say a final goodbye to Maggie. Yeah. In fact, sort of telegraphing these other goodbyes in the episode, and then having one of our very main characters who we met, I think, in the very first episode of the show, and who's really a hero, almost more so than anybody else, because he hasn't really done anything morally ambiguous, and he's very good, and he helped Nicholas, who he should have just murdered a long time ago, and who now was the cause of his death, or his savior, one or the other. So good on Walking Dead if he is dead, bad on Walking Dead if he's alive, because it's a huge, ridiculous cheat. It would be a huge, ridiculous cheat that I'm calling right now.
Luckily,
Glenn is alive.
A crazy person would think that. I think,
I'm gonna feel so embarrassed next week.
Didn't telegraph it at all, and it was really, to the point where right up to it, I was kind of looking around, because they have that, they show the scene, they show all the zombies surrounding them, and you're sort of looking around, and I was thinking, okay, well, I guess they could maybe jump over that fence and land into that tree area. How are they going to...
Up onto the roof?
Yeah, I was clearly they're getting out of this somehow. Maybe Nicholas won't.
Right.
But here's how Glenn's going to survive. And then, when Nicholas says, and so here's my question to you. When he says thank you to Glenn right before he kills himself, what do you think he's thanking him for? I
think he's thanking him for making him a better person, forcing him to be a better person. He's still a coward at the end, and he's not going out fighting. But I think he's thanking Glenn for sort of fundamentally changing him, because he was a coward and he was an asshole, and Glenn could have and should have rightfully killed him.
Yeah.
Which is what Rick would have done, episodes ago.
And would have been the right thing to do, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. Morgan probably would have tied him up, given him a lecture. Carol would have killed him.
Yeah.
I think he was thanking him for helping him become a better person in this horrible, horrible world.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the same thing was running through my mind. Like, okay, so Nicholas is going to give him a boost onto the roof, and only one of them can get a boost and make it. But no, he just offs himself instead. Powerful moment for sure, unexpected. Him killing himself, and then the shot of his blood splashing onto Glenn's face. Another hint that Glenn is simply covered with blood. Even though there are hundreds of zombies in the final scene, he's underneath this dead body. He's gonna stay still. He's gonna be covered with blood, and they won't even bite him.
The first time you were rambling about this, I was like, okay, I'll let him say his crazy thing. But now you keep coming back to it, and I'm like, really? You're
starting to buy this a little bit, aren't you? Uh-huh.
It's making me more skeptical with each.
Did you see the zombie on the grassy knoll?
I mean, okay, touche. And also, I think Cuba was involved somehow, right?
Well, yeah. Obviously.
I mean, Cuban zombies.
Well, Cuba's an island, so there's no zombies on it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping at some point, well, I guess that's what Fear the Walking Dead is for, right? Is to let us know if this is happening in the rest of the world.
Or at least in LA.
Right, yeah. Okay, so let's move on from there, because clearly we're not going to come to a firm conclusion on whether or not Glenn is alive, even though we know the answer is
We're literally
dead.
not leaving this video until you agree that Glenn is alive. Oh my God.
So, shall we talk Michonne?
Sure, a little Michonne. Hey, everything else, I will have to say, you might want to just turn off now, because everything else in this episode pales in comparison to...
That's the thing. I was taking notes, and I was writing about Michonne, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. We're doing sort of this character study with Michonne and these other people, and, getting back to sort of core mission of the show and what it's like to live in this world. And then I just, after Glenn's death, I just wrote, oh, no. And that was it. I set down my notebook.
Glenn's death.
Yeah. I poured myself some whiskey. And
I was so convinced of my theory that I thought when Rick had the walkie-talkie at the end that we were going to hear Glenn be like, Rick.
This is amazing. This should be on Sean's podcast about improbable, ridiculous conspiracy
we'll
theories.
see what happens next week, and then if indeed Glenn is dead, and then they can do that, and if he's alive, then you owe me a big gulp from the 7-Eleven.
I owe you a big gulp, and
this episode not sponsored by 7-Eleven, by the way.
Yeah, and if I'm right, you owe me what seems like an equivalent thing, lunch. That seems equivalent to a big gulp, right?
And during the entire lunch, I talk about what a moron I am the whole time.
That seems fair. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Michonne, because we finally got to spend some time with her.
She's back.
She's back. She's bad. She's better than ever. And she, basically spends this episode, not only do we sort of get in touch with her again, but we spend some time with her having to do something we haven't really seen much of her do before, which is, talk to the red shirts, the people who are basically there to be cannon fodder to talk about how they had a life and now they're dead because they got bit. We don't get that much from her, but it was nice to see her sort of not only step up to that role and show some empathy, show that sort of caring side of her, but simultaneously give that awesome speech to our new glasses-wearing long-hair guy. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
It's glasses-wearing
long-hair guy. About the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. You are a moron. Because he tried to step up to her. He was like, no, I've been out in the shit. I know it. And she's like, you don't have the faintest fucking clue what you're talking about.
He was like in ROTC, and she's like, I was in NAM.
I was out there. We know you don't. But if you don't learn, you will die. We will.
I've been doing runs from the start, okay? I know what
it's
like.
Have you ever had to kill people because they'd already killed your friends and were coming for you next? Have you ever done things that made you feel afraid of yourself afterward? Have you ever been covered in so much blood that you didn't know if it was yours, or Walker's, or your friends? Huh? Then you don't know.
Maybe they're going to exchange hair care tips also, I was hoping.
Oh, that would be nice.
Because they both really keep up really good dues.
They do, yeah. For the post-apocalyptic world, that they spend some time in front of the mirror.
But I will say it's great, and I do like Michonne as a character, obviously. But it's a turn for Michonne in a way, in that she's becoming weaker in this whole, do we save other people business? And she's Rick basically says to her, like, if they slow you down, leave them behind. And that's why this guy brings this whole thing up. And the old Michonne would have been like, yeah, if they slow us down, I'm going to leave them behind. I'm going to cut their head off, and then I'm going to leave them behind just in case. And now she's like, we're not leaving here at all, period. Of course, they leave everyone behind eventually because they get killed.
They have to.
That's the reality of this world, which is why Glenn can't be dead.
God.
It would just be too sad. It would just be too sad.
It was
of a world.
so sad. I was watching this. I was like, I was thinking about how to break the news. Like, should I try and break the news in advance to my wife, or is she just
going to be
let her
brokenhearted?
collapse in a puddle in the ground? When this episode airs.
Well, just don't let her watch Sundays, and then you have 2 in the DVR. So 5 minutes after it ends, she knows he's alive.
Oh my
God! And then she'll only be sad for 5 minutes. Or you could show her my fan fiction called The Walking Dead: Glenn is alive.
I feel like I should just turn over the rest of this to you, and you can continue to hold court on all the other ways you're convinced he's alive.
Didn't you hear the walkie-talkie at the end? Oh, I made that up. Sorry.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, I don't know how necessarily I was attached to Glenn, but it also leaves the question of like who. No one is sort of the moral compass. Then I mean, I guess what's his wife's name? I said it before. Now I've forgotten. I know her real name.
Maggie.
Maggie. Sorry. She's still a sort of unambiguously good person.
Yeah.
But everybody else is just compromised.
Yeah.
But you have to be compromised in this world.
Yeah, as we learned, very early on, there's some people who just shouldn't be alive anymore. And Rick, I will tell you, after my mind was blown by the death of death of Glenn, the unambiguous death of Glenn, I was almost convinced that they were going to kill Rick in that RV.
Wow.
Because when he's sitting in there and all of a sudden the guy's coming in with guns and stuff, I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill Rick too. They're just going to take out all of our people.
Are you kidding? Can the AMC executives be like, what? No.
Yeah.
No, the golden goose shall not have its head cut off, although I guess it cut off one of its arms, if indeed Glenn is dead.
Oh my. Oof.
I'm a Glenn truther.
You are.
Even if we never see him again, I'm going to be like, in 3 seasons, he's just going to come back and he's going to have like the Carol outfit from last week where she stole one of the wolves' outfits.
Yeah, everybody will just talk about how he's dead now, but you'll be convinced that you haven't seen the death certificate.
Yeah, there'll be this masked swordsman who's like sneaking in and helping everybody, and then like 3 seasons from now, he'll just like pull it down and be like, it's Glenn. And guess what? Nicholas is alive too. No, that's too far. Too far.
Yeah.
Nicholas, definitely dead.
Definitely dead.
Glenn, maybe not that dead.
And we end the episode with Rick in that RV. It's dead. Speaking of dead, the RV is dead. And we've got all the zombies slowly swarming towards him.
Yep.
Things are not looking good. I love that they did get those 4 people who tried to shoot him and take him out and kill him. And I was like, who are they? It was just like these random people appeared out of nowhere, shot at him, were killed. We never saw them before or again because he's killed them all now.
The first one that came in the RV and shot at him was the wolf who took the gun at the end of the previous episode.
Oh, do you think so?
I think so, because he had like short red hair and he looked at the gun in a funny way. Like none of them had guns.
Oh.
And then when Morgan chased them away, he picked up a gun off a dead person and he looked at it like, and then he put it like, maybe I should take this, maybe I shouldn't, put in there. And that's the only wolf that we've seen with a gun outside of that. And I think he stepped in and shot that gun at Rick.
Oh.
And then Rick obviously took care of business.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch this again because that would make sense if that was the case.
I think that was him, but I'm not sure. I didn't rewind it and look.
Because because those 4 did leave. They were the ones who ran out of Alexandria at the end of the assault. So that
I think
would
there were 5
sense.
though. There were 2 that came into the RV that he killed, and I think there were 3
I
sneaking
thought there was
along
only
with
2
it.
sneaking along.
Doesn't matter.
We'll find
None
out.
of them was Glenn.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
The Rick scene was great, and Rick, he's injured. Like Rick in a bad way is awesome. Like Rick with his hand is cut from a zombie fight. But then he grabs a machine gun and just shoots the side of the RV.
Yeah.
Did that injure the RV? I don't know. I mean, the RV not starting, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
So what happens? Either he starts it or, hey, we're speculating again. Glenn is alive. He makes his way to the top of the RV where they can't get him, and he has to get rescued somehow.
I mean, that's what I'm
Probably by Glenn,
assuming.
I would think.
Possibly in a helicopter. Glenn will just come swooping in with like Airwolf. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's possible.
Yeah. It's very logical. Is that?
I think that's pretty much it in the episode. I mean, there's really beyond when they drop a bombshell like that.
There's not much else you can talk about. It's hard to hard to wrap your head around.
Although where was Michonne at the end? Was she back to Alexandria?
Michonne, she was not back yet.
Okay.
They were still en route, I believe.
Oh, I guess there's one more quick thing, and that's Daryl leaving the car.
Oh yeah.
Where the fuck was he going? And then he came back. Like, Daryl did nothing. I thought
was-
he was going back to Alexandria.
I thought so too.
But then he just came back.
That was and it's like his mind was changed by hearing gunshots with Rick over the walkie-talkie. I'm like, why would this change? If anything, you'd think that would only encourage him to be
Yeah.
like, yep, I'm out of here. I'm going to go help people.
And if Morgan can run to Alexandria in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
Daryl can't ride a very fast motorcycle there in 5?
That's what I'm mostly still mad about, is the completely insane logic of having Morgan show up halfway through the Battle of Alexandria and everybody else is still miles away.
Right.
Like, give me
So
a
if we
break.
can accept that kind of logic, then we can accept that Glenn is covered with entrails and that maybe we think he's dead for the whole episode and at the whole end of to the end of the next episode, and then like his eye opens.
This is like Thanksgiving dinner with Donald Trump, like demanding to see like evidence of a wall that
People
we're
who
going to build around
think
America.
Glenn is dead are losers. I can't do a Donald Trump
That
impersonation.
was pretty bad.
That was bad. I can do Craig Finn for you though. I'll do that after this.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I think then we've discussed everything we need
covered
to.
it.
In fact, Josh has discussed way more than he needed to.
I
about
can't
it.
wait to prove all of you wrong next week. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm thinking maybe like a Thai food or
Sure.
something. Yeah, we'll see.
The place close by closed though. So.
Oh, okay. We'll go
But
somewhere.
whatever you like.
All right, well,
Whatever you like.
I appreciate that.
Entrees $9.95 or less.
Okay, fair enough. Square deal. All right, guys, that's it for this week of Talking Walking Dead, not Talking Dead, because as Josh pointed out, that's something else. And we will see you next time.
I'm Chris Hardwick.